Okay, now before I take this apart, I'm just going to mark where these joints are. And that way I'll get it lined up properly when I put it back together. No guessing. Yeah, I think that's going to harden nicely. Being as I am going to be passing this over the jointer, may as well get this excess squeeze out off right now. Well, only about 10 hours has passed now, but I'm sure this glue is set enough that I can take these screws out. That seems pretty hard. Well, this is pretty square. This board here is a little bit crowned, which means it's probably cupped on the other side. Now this is exactly square. There's no give at all in this. So what I want to do is I want to have this, the outside here, at perfect right angles. So that shouldn't be too hard to do with this machine. Now what I'm trying to do here is I'm trying to get the outside of that board perfectly flat, and the inside of that same board, that is the part that I have the push block on, it should stay basically parallel to the outside. So this side is nice and flat now. Now what I need to do is have this at right angles. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hold this tight against the fence. It doesn't matter if maybe it's out a little bit on the bottom. By the time I passed it through 2 or 3 times, it'll be at right angles. As long as I remember to hold it tight against the fence and not press down. So okay, that was actually the 3rd pass. So this is the bottom, this will be the side. And I hope you can see that they're at more or less a perfect right angle to each other. You'll see why that's important in a minute. Now the idea is that this disc is going to be glued to this board here. And then I'll pass everything through. And hopefully I'll be able to slice off about 1/2 inch of the bottom. Maybe a little less. And there's something else I want you to notice here. You notice how the grain runs? Now if I have it glued to the board like this so that the grain is up, the blade will have a tendency to catch on the grain. Now this is just my opinion, it might not mean a thing. But if I have it like this, the grain is sort of like this, and the blade won't catch on the grain as easily. I sort of take advantage of that sort of thing when I'm passing a board through the jointer. If I pass it through with the grain one way, it catches, and if I pass it through the other way, it's nice and smooth. Now this is just my opinion, I could be wrong here. So I'm going to glue it on like this, if I can remember. Drew an arrow so I wouldn't forget. This is just dollar store epoxy. I don't know how they can make that for $1. Okay, now remember, the grain this way. This weighs about 4 pounds. I think it was in video number 2 in this series that I resawed this monkey wood. I used this blade. Now I've got 2 Laguna Resaw King blades. And you're probably wondering, well, why would I have 2 blades exactly the same size? Well, this was the first one. Now it's kind of a long story, I don't want to get into it now, but if you want to know the story, go back about half a year or more in my videos, and you'll find 5 videos called Laguna Resaw King. At least I think that's what it's called. And be sure and watch all 5 of them to be fair to Laguna, because at the beginning I badmouthed this blade pretty good, and at the end I sort of come around a bit. But anyway, I got to change this blade. The reason I use the bad blade to saw this is because this is from an old tabletop, as I mentioned earlier, and I thought there's the possibility that maybe there's a nail or a screw or maybe even a metal pin running through it somewhere, and I didn't want to wreck this good blade. So I got to change the blade. Anyway, watch those videos, they're kind of interesting.